Listen, man, you already know what it is. Your boy, Young Kash Capre. You are now tuned in with F.A.M.E TV. Bow.
Philly F.A.M.E. Philly F.A.M.E. Alright, Young Kash Capre, man. Before we get into it, first and foremost, how are you, good brother? What's going on, man?
Man, I'm living the average day-to-day life, man. You already know coronavirus and shut everything down, so normal.
Right. And we live from the restaurant situation and all of that, know what I mean? Just recently opened and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to get to that, but before we get to that, we want to bring people, you know, take them back a little bit, give them your story from the beginning up until this point, know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody already know, man. Started off with an Instagram video, collect call, straight from the jail cells home. Video went viral. Of course, everybody already knew that story. I told it a million times. I'm gonna just speak on to what's happening now. You know, we just working and we're glad to be in position. Like we ain't never stopped grinding since the first video till now. You know what I'm saying? Of course, working with Omelly, Meek, Davies, and Zoe Dolls, and a few other people that I met during the the time frame.
Right. Well, we're gonna jump back. This is more so for the people that's not familiar. It's probably people tuned in that have no idea about your story and your come up and how you did the collect call freestyle. Okay. Your followers definitely familiar, people that been rocking with you, but this is more so for the people that don't know. So you from North Philly originally, know what I mean?
Yeah.
So give people, what part of North you from?
I'm from Kingston, Allegheny.
Alright, bet. So give people, for those who not, if you from Philly, you know about that area, Badlands and all that. Yeah. But for the people that's not familiar, just give them a brief rundown of what it was like for you coming up in that area.
It's the average lifestyle. Everywhere, every environment is different, but it's all about how you choose to, move around in certain neighborhoods or areas in Philly. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the part where it's the drugs, it's the the money and stuff like that. So for me, it was all about just trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do different from everybody else in the neighborhood. Got you.
All right, what about your household? What was that like? Give people a rundown on that.
I grew up with 11 siblings. My mom had 11 kids. I'm the third oldest out of 11. So I'm always used to being around a bunch of crowded people because I always lived with all my brothers and sisters my whole life. My mom and my dad been together for about, I'm gonna say probably 19 to 20 years, and after that they separated. And then my mom moved to VA, and my dad stayed here with us in Philly. So basically just us here in Philly.
Okay. So school, I mean, that's a lot of siblings in the household. So yeah. What was school like for you being one of the oldest and all the little brothers under you? So how was that situation?
I'm gonna keep it real. I was kind of like a bad student in school, but I always was an honor roll student. Like from I'm gonna say from second grade to about 8th grade, I was an honor roll student. Then from there, I went to high school, and high school, you kind of got freedom. So it's like when you get that freedom, you really start understanding and seeing things different. So then at that point, I kind of dropped out of school. I started feeling like I didn't really need it. So I kind of dropped out, started hanging around my friends, and we started dipping and dodging and tapping into different things that we just thought was cool around that time.
Got you. All right, so at what point did the name come in? Young Kash Capre, what's that about? Explain that for people.
Young Kash Capre, for those who don't know, is actually my oldest brother's son. He kind of his umbilical cord had wrapped around his neck when he was in his mom's stomach, so he didn't really get to make it to see the world. So that was that would have been my first nephew. So it was once he died, I just carried on the name. So really, Young Kash Capre really is like a movement. It's not even really me. You know what I'm saying? So I just kept the name and I ran with it.
Got you. All right, so now let's touch on something that you spoke on in the beginning, as far as you said you did the freestyle when you first came home from jail, whatever, that went viral. So what was the situation as far as you going to jail? How long you was there? What that experience was like for you? Because from what I understand, you was fairly young. You was a teenage, 17 something like that. Yeah, so speak on, and you was an adult joint, right?
Yeah.
So speak on, that situation a little bit, because I'm sure that had something to do with the freestyle that caused you. I mean, so speak on that whole experience.
It's kind of crazy because you know how everybody say everything ain't for the bad. So not like that, but it's kind of I went to jail for all the right reasons, you know what I'm saying? And that was my first time ever being incarcerated in my life. I was 17 years old, and I went up for attempted murder. I went to jail September something, I can't tell the exact date, and I was in there until December 15th, but during the time, I I was in there like kind of making music with my spare time. And I had this guy named DC Puff had came into the jail. I was at CFCF. I had just turned 18.
That's Meek Man, right?
Yeah. I don't leave that out. That's Meek. To what I know, that was Meek, one of Meek's bodyguards at the time. He had came up and I was kind of like let him hear my music. Then he gave me his number. He like, when you come home, just call my phone, and then I'm gonna link you in with them. So he went home before me. When I went home, which was December 15th, I kind of really gave him a call. And then that night or a day after, he had took me to the studio with Omelly. That was my first time ever meeting Omelly. And then from there, it was history.
Okay, so was him taking you to the studio before the collect call, John, or after that?
It was after the collect call, because I wrote collect call. Damn, I skipped that part, didn't I? I wrote the song collect call while I was in jail. Because one time I had called this little shorty on the phone that was like helping me get through my bid. I was talking to her damn near every day on the phone. And this one day I called her. She told me like I had to stop calling her because she had got a boyfriend, whatever the case may be. So that shit kind of like tore me up a little bit. So one of the niggas that I was in jail with had told me just go on my cell and write a song. And then I came out with that song.
Okay. So yeah, that joint did what it did when you first came home. So how long was you booked before you came home actually from that situation?
Like 4 months. Like I didn't do long. I was in there for like 4 months.
Okay. And you made it up out of that joint, come home, you start doing the music full time, fresh from there?
Full time.
Okay. So once that video went crazy, they took you to the studio with Omelly and all that. Y'all actually did a record together that day or no?
Nah, I let Omelly hear some of my shit, and then he was talking about like he was gonna get with me. And the crazy thing is, Collect Call wasn't even viral at this time. This I was just meeting him fresh out, Blasi Block. A couple weeks after meeting Omelly, probably like a week or two, I did the Instagram vid. And the next thing you know, that shit it just took off. And the next thing you know, I saw Omelly and Meek and all these other motherfuckers in my DM trying to reach out to me. You feel me? After I had just met him probably a week or two before I did the video.
Okay. So at what point after that did you actually meet Meek or whatever from there? Like?
After the video was going viral, Omelly had told me to meet up with him on 16th of Lehigh. That's when they had that restaurant open. So me and my homie went down there. First day meeting Omelly, me and him just been and eating food, and I'm letting him hear all the music I was doing while I was locked up. And probably I'm gonna say it didn't take no time. It was like a week later. Omelly called me one day. I was at the crib. He like, get dressed. I'm about to come get you. He didn't tell me where we was going. We pull up to that colorful ass studio. I don't know if I could drop the location, but it's like on 12th and Vine. And then I met Meek that same night.
Okay. And moving past that situation, like how did that, you fresh from, jail and you starting to take music serious, and in that short period of time, you get to link up with them, so how did that help you moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, that was a good, you gotta think about it. I was 17, I turned 18, I came home. So like, and music I've always been passionate about, always been something that I always like into. So it was like, damn, like I finally felt like my dreams was coming true. And the crazy it took for me to go to prison to make a huge record that changed my life. And then, so that shit was like an extraordinary moment for me. Like I couldn't believe that shit.
Right. And from there, parlaying that situation, you mentioned that like you actually was featured on a record with Omelly and Dave East. Yeah, me
and Omelly got locked in. Like I'm gonna say on some real shit. Like to this day, like Omelly like my big brother, bro. Like I really could say that. Like, and I know like the love really genuine between me and him. You feel me? Like we call and check up on each other damn near every day. Matter of fact, I just got off a call with him last night. We was on the phone for like an hour, just busting up about cool shit. So yeah, records just started coming like tremendously after that between me and him.
Got you. And sticking to the music side, you actually ended up, doing a record with the youngin' YBN Almighty J at one point. Yeah, speak a little bit on that. He got a nice little wave,
I'm gonna say, I think this was right before coronavirus. I don't know. I don't think coronavirus was out during this time. But one night I went to the studio. While I was at the crib, my manager called me and told me he about to give me an Uber to the studio because the YBN was in the city. So when I went to the studio, I called Melly and shit. We all busting it up. I hand YBN the phone. So he like, damn, yeah, you busting up with at home at this time. So he like, yeah, that's my youngin', like Blasi Block. And then from there, me and him just hopped on the record from that day.
Okay. So all of this, like first, let me jump back to say, how long ago up to this point was it that you been home from that situation? Like how long ago was that?
Damn, that was 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
So from that time till now, you accomplished,
way more than I ever did in my life. period.
Right. So music-wise, between what I'm trying to get to is between the time you came home and the record with Omelly and Davies and the record with Almighty J and all that.
Yeah.
How long have you been home since all of that stuff took place? Like how long ago was that from this point?
See that collect call and all that stuff. I ain't been in jail in 4 years. Let's just get that out there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say the last. How long ago was that? The record with me and YBN was probably almost like a year ago. We never released it. I just got it in the tuck for when the right time comes. The show with Davies was probably like 2 years ago. So that was on Omelly's birthday. We dropped that album. Then after that, we did the YBN Almighty. So yeah, I don't even know, bro. I don't even know how much time that was. It just each record was like a year apiece though.
Okay. So in between that time, you've been doing like freestyles on the gram. I've seen you. I mean, a lot of people showing you crazy love on the gram, like when you drop them freestyles, doing little songs and videos and stuff like that. So just give people a brief rundown for those who ain't too familiar with like your music catalog and all the stuff you've been doing. Just give them a brief rundown. I know you got more recent project, COVID-19 and all that. So go ahead, give them a rundown on all that.
The music is like, it speaks for itself. Like right now, I just feel like I'm a highly underrated artist. I don't really know like what God got planned for me. I don't really question God, but like in due time, I live my life in due time. Like everything's gonna happen at the right time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, as far as the music right now, I just been busting my ass. Like it's about working. Like everything don't come overnight. You feel me? So for me, I understand that it's not an overnight success for me. It's gonna be step by step, work for me, just from different artists. So it's like, I've been traveling out the city like heavy since I ain't dropped no more music in the grip. I've been trying to build my brand and work on my craft and really when it's time to pop out the right way. So I've been to Miami and Atlanta and all these different places just networking with different motherfuckers. So it's like everybody really knew who I am as far as the PJ Cavs, the whoever, like from different, you know what I'm saying?
Alright, gotcha. I want to switch gears a little bit. You know, I follow you on the gram, been following you for a minute. Yeah. We even talked about doing this joint a minute ago,
yeah,
I mean,
sure,
all that.
Absolutely.
So I noticed at one point in time you was doing in the streets and all that, the little boxing joints, the little boxing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a positive message behind it, like you put the guns down, let's get in the streets and mix it up and all. Yeah. So speak on, that little bit and why y'all stopped doing that.
Shout out to Walk Down Lodge, shout out to Man Mugga. You feel me? One night they had called me because they wanted to start this little project called Guns Down, Gloves Up. So they hit me one day because I had a fan base. So it was like me and this little nigga named King Maul. He also popped in the city. Shout out to King Maul. Me and him on Instagram one day just talking shit like, yeah, I'll fuck you up, blah, 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 blah. So to make a long story short, what happens is me and Mugga and Lodge set the fight up with me and King Maul. And then after me and King Maul had our fight, this shit just became a big thing in the city. So it was like everybody wanted to do it. From whoever wanted to be a part of the situation was a part of the situation. It got so deep and so big that Meek Mill started to pay attention to it, and other motherfuckers like Gilly the King and other motherfuckers from the city that pay attention to us started paying attention to the movement that we started. And the reason why we stopped it was because the cops said we would legally need papers in order to keep this shit going. But each event was getting bigger and bigger from the situation because it was actually a positive situation.
Right, because in Philly, we got a whole lot of shootings and homicides and all. So that was
kids dying left and right. A lot of kids dying left and right. So we was just trying to really basically figure out a way that we can probably put our shit involved and use our platform and try to make this shit different.
Right. And also, I want to jump back to something else you had posted on your gram a minute ago that happened in the city that I've been meaning to holler at you about. Get your insight on when a cop shooting happened in area. And you was down there in the area. Yeah. And you was posting videos about it as it was going on. Yeah. So as somebody on the ground that was actually there while it was happening, just speak a little bit on that situation. That was a crazy situation that happened that got worldwide media attention at the time. So go ahead and give them a little rundown on that.
I feel like with that situation, it's just like an eye-opener for the people, because at the end of the day, it just taught us how, like, I don't like the bash police or nothing like that, because they human just like us. It just shows that they're not for us, you feel me? They're not really with us, because at that moment, bro, it just looked like they was ready to just give up on us too. Like they was looking for us to start a riot or maybe us to step in and do some foul shit just so they can retaliate on us. I was looking at it like, damn, like it just an eye opener for all them people and them kids that was out there. That shit just, for me, that shit different.
Right. All right. So now let's fast forward to more recent time. I mean, I seen you posted recently, like you had a pic with Kash Capre the other night. What, that was in the city?
Yeah, no, that was actually in New York. That was like 2 days ago. Was that 2 days ago, Jay, or that was yesterday? 2 days ago, we was out in New York. My guy Big Larry, shout out to Big Larry. That's like my home dog. Man, we got the same management and shit like that. So you know what I'm saying. Whenever Big Larry got some shit going on, like close to home, we always go check it out. You feel me? And niggas like Cass always in the building. It's always mad love when we run into each other. So we was out in New York that night.
Okay. And now let's get to the restaurant like we talked on earlier.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just recently open.
Yes,
I mean, so speak a little bit on that and give people, you know, the details on how they can come support, check it out, and all that good stuff.
Man, you already know we have 4107 Frankfurt Avenue. Matter of fact, we in here right now in Fuji's restaurant. You can follow us on Instagram at Fuji's_restaurant. We got whatever y'all need. Pull up. Yeah, and we've been open for a while too, and business been doing good. We made a lot of money the first night grand opening too. I ain't gonna tell you how much, but just know we made it bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right, so, you know, before we get out here, I got a couple more things I want you to, you know, touch on.
Let's get it.
One of them being, you know, you one of the young up-and-coming guys in the city that I've been seeing for, you know, the past couple years making noise, I mean, and I see you get a lot of love from some of the other artists in the city that's making noise as well. So speak a little bit on your thoughts on, you know, the city as a whole overall music-wise and how you see yourself, you know, in the mix of it, or how you see yourself standing out.
I feel like I'm separated from all the other artists, not in a bad way, in a good way though. I feel like with me it's more so on some like I'm more out the city than in the city. What I mean by that is like working with local artists and all that stuff. I haven't really got too many features with too many of the local artists in the city that been, you know how they all connected with each other in some kind of way. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like with me it's more like I want to be bigger than Philly, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not pressed to work with this person, that person from the city. I'm more about getting out, trying to get my name in other places. So to speak on the city, I feel like the city doing well as far as a lot of artists collabing and all that stuff, but you feel me? It is what it is with me. That's how I feel. With me, I'm going to get it regardless, whether it's here or it's not.
All right, so a question I like to ask the younger artists that I interview about my era, which is the DVD era, and I always ask them like how if you were a fan of it to a degree, and did anybody from that era like influence you today? I know most people will say Meek because he's the biggest person, but outside of Meek, like was you into that era, and if so, who was you fucking with?
I was into Reed Dollars. I like the Reed Dollars. I liked it. What's the other nigga name? His name's Savage, some shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Young Savage.
Yeah, that was my guy, Young Savage. Reed Dollars, of course, Meek, of course. Quilly was actually one of them niggas. I feel like he still lives now. I feel like Quilly one of the hot niggas in the city right now too.
Right. And to piggyback off that question, a follow-up question I like to ask is, because I see a big disconnect between that era and this new era, where I like to call the social media era.
Right now, everybody beefing in the city.
Right. Well, yeah.
The new era, I feel like nobody can get along.
Right.
It's not too different. The old era, just they didn't have social media back in the day, so you couldn't really see what was going on like during their time. But I'm pretty sure they had some fucked up moments themselves. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, absolutely. That whole era was beef. I mean, that whole DVD era was beef. That's Meek made his name throughout the beef. You know, him and Reed and all of that. Like,
because one thing I can say about Meek, he always, like I told you, bro, he went out the city. Other motherfuckers stay here in the city. They thought the city was where it was at. Meek knew that the city wasn't where it was at, so he distanced himself and got out of here. Just like Lil Uzi, bro.
Right.
Niggas head on straight.
Right. So speaking on people beefing with, like, what's your thoughts on that being like, for outsider looking in, basically saying everybody going through it in the city? Where at one point in time people was getting along, and now it seems like they not as much anymore.
You gotta have an understanding on what you want to do. You want to be a killer, you want to be a robber, you want to be a rapper, you want to be depends on what you want to do. So certain situations might have you in different environments. What I mean by that is, if you involve yourself in other people's shit, you become a part of it. Like me, I'm not a part of it.
Right.
It's strictly music with me. That's all I want to do. I don't want to be in nobody's business. I don't want to be in nobody's beef. I just want to do music. See what I'm saying?
Right. Alright, so on that note, plug your social media and how people could tap in with you and find your music, find your visuals and everything you got going on.
I kind of ain't dropped no music in a while, but 2021 we gonna set the year off with a big bang. You can follow me on every platform, social media, wherever you can find music, wherever. At Young Kash Capre, that's YUNGKASHCAPRE, everywhere.
Alright, so anything else you want to let the people know before we get out of here? Anything you want to address, clarify, before we
Yeah,
let
pull
this
up
drum
to
up?
4107 Frankfurt Avenue, Fuji's. That's where it's at, that's where we at. And come eat, man, come spend some money with us. Black-owned businesses.
Early.
That's it.
Alright, and on that note, man, we signing out for now. Till next time. Young Kash Capre, Philly F.A.M E TV.